Welcome.
Welcome.
Er,
Today's episode, number 7 of season 2, Events Real Talk, is all about the CVP, or Certified Venue Professional. For those of you who don't know what that is, I'm going to be discussing with Sarah the process of her getting her CVP, Pre-Reqs, materials, studying, testing, CVP retention, etc., and the comparison with getting your VEIP, or Virtual Events Institute Professional.
A mouthful
Sarah,
of acronyms.
Spill it.
Spill,
That was a
spill.
lot. That was a lot.
All right, what do you want to know first? What you got for me? Why?
Well, tell us a little bit about the CVP.
The CVP is through IAVM, which I'm going to mess up because when I went through IAVM's venue management school, it was the International Assembly of Venue Managers. I think now it's just management, but hell, I don't know. The Peanut Gallery could nod yes or no and help me out. She doesn't know either. She'll probably have to look at her certificate just to verify. So IAVM has Venue Management School, which is VMS. So it's an organization internationally that brings all these venue managers together. And they, at the time, did not offer any kind of credentials other than you got a certificate saying that you finished venue management school, which, by the way, is a 2-year program, and you go for an entire week during the summer each year, and you sit through wonderful classes. Yeah, it's like going to attending an educational conference. It's really informative. It's very, I thought it was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of people that worked across the United States. The educators are all in very high profile positions across the world. Several of them own their own businesses that were very profitable. So now, even though I've done VMS, IAVM offers a CVP, which is an actual credential. However,
wait. Did you have to pay for it?
Well, yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh.
Yeah, I get there. Yeah, it costs money. VMS costs a lot of money too, a lot of money to get only a certificate that says you're completed. I feel like at the end of VMS, everything that you went through, you should have gotten a CVP, just because you have to test at the end of it and pass your test in order to get your certificate.
Well, that's why I was asking if you had to pay for it or if they were like, oh, you get a credit because you did this class.
Oh, no. You sat, yeah, no. You sat in classes for 6 hours out of each day. They had social events, and then they took you to tour some places to see what their facilities do and how they handle things. And when I went eons ago, it was still held up in West Virginia. So we used to drive to Pittsburgh to tour Heinz Stadium, the Pirate Stadium. And then at the time when I graduated, my second year when I finished, they just opened the brand new Penguin Stadium, which was
Penguins.
Kind of like Mile High. It just feels like you're falling onto the ice. It's crazy. So yes, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for your CVP as well. The application fee is $125, and you basically can use their quick summary that allows you to go through and figure out how many points you acquire. You have to get a minimum of 100 points to even apply, which pulls from your educational background, your experience, work experience, if you have any certifications, if you've sat on any community committees or venue management committees, basically everything you do. If you're an overachiever,
your points are kind of like the CE credits, like for the CMP.
Absolutely. Correct. So, and then if you did any continuing education, so everything that we've done through MPI or the stuff I did through ELI, all those things count. It's basically just your continuing education within the industry. And they need to be more facility focused, but they don't have to be. You get the most points from having a bachelor's or higher degree and from VMS. But basically I could have probably had, I think I only had to have 2 additional webinars in order to hit the minimum of 100 points just from having a degree that I don't use in my field and attending VMS. So It's really great though, because the CVP is a community just like VMS. It's all the venue managers across the world, international, whatever. The only thing I don't particularly care for is the fact that I'm paying again for something I feel like I've already done. So once I applied and got accepted, I got my acceptance by like 3 or 4 days after I applied. They do say that it takes them anywhere from 2 to like 45 days to actually reply to your application. And you do have to have 3 professional references, and one of them has to be your current supervisor.
So do they check them?
Yeah, I don't know. But you don't just, here's the thing. You don't just fill out a form and say, this is who you work for. These are my 2 other people. They actually have to write a recommendation letter to go along with it. Yes.
So you actually got a recommendation letter?
I got 3. One from my boss, which was,
How much did you pay them?
right. He texted me one day. He was like, on average, how many events do you think you do in a year? And I was like, oh,
All of them.
yeah. So I texted, I was like, Jamie, how many events do we do in a year? Because she pays attention to those metrics. I know. And so I responded to him and he goes, okay, I'm just trying to convince somebody that you actually do a job. And I was like, whoa, why are we throwing stones?
Damn.
Yeah. Well, because I started all of this in September
Of what year?
of 2020. So we've been, COVID world. And so I'm sure it was more of like, I'm just trying to convince people you actually work, even though right now you're not working, or he thinks I'm not. Fuck, I don't know. Clearly he knows me better than I thought he did.
You may or may not be.
Accurate. Yeah. So,
well, at least you did the application last year versus this year where you're like, I ain't doing any events.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're doing events. Well, and the interesting part about it too is you actually have, once you get approved or whatever, your application is approved, you have 2 years accepted. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. It's been a long morning. You have 2 years then to take your exam and pass it so you can get certified, which I thought was kind of too long, maybe. I don't know. I just felt like that was a really long time. I felt like a year just to make sure people get it done.
I mean, yeah, but also it depends, somebody that's doing a lot of large scale functions, may not have the time. So they give that extra year as like, take the first year to study and the second year to get scheduled. Yeah.
So that part was really fun. In the beginning, they told us that so they also have a CVE, which is your certified venue executive. So it's higher. So originally they said that you had to either do your exam with a CVE proctoring it. Well, we got like one person in our community that has their CVE and they just came from Vegas, which is fine, except for they don't respond to anything and they're busy bringing in bull riders and all that kind of fun stuff to this campus community. Yes. So, and then the other option was you could only do them at any of the IAVM like conferences or chapter meetings. I couldn't even tell you where any of our chapter meetings are hosted. Probably Houston.
Austin?
No, I don't even think we're in Austin's region. I could be wrong. They might be looped in. I don't know. Peanut Gallery knows more about that than I do. So, well, most of the conferences are held in the Houston, Dallas area, more Houston than anything. So like Venue Connect, their annual conference, we don't ever attend. Jamie went 1 year. Michael's done the safety management school, so you could do it there. But it's like, I'd have to travel to go take an exam. And everybody else had adapted their programs to online. And as much as I like the IAVM network, parts of it are very, very prehistoric. Very prehistoric.
Like what, for example?
Well, you don't do online testing. You still have to travel everywhere. They do everything on paper still.
Not even on go somewhere and take the exam on a computer?
At the time, no. But I have recently found out that has changed, but it hadn't before. And they also, you had to, before, I think up until last year, you still had to submit everything by mail, or you could do via email or fax. Yes, or you could fax still. Yes. But they now have a IAVM dashboard. So like if you're a member, you can go in and apply that. So they actually allow you to apply online through their dashboard now instead of actually having to mail stuff. Yeah, so our region is massive. I think it includes Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, maybe one more, but that might be it. I'm guessing on that just because I'm sitting on a committee right now with IAVM, and most everyone is either from Arkansas or Oklahoma.
Okay, that's really interesting because I feel like facilities in certain areas function differently, like especially when it comes to contracts and force majeure and weather related things. Like,
yeah, but you also have to keep in mind, yes, that is true.
Well, but I mean, as far as like chapters go, like why would you group those states together?
Oh fuck, I don't know. Because we're right there all together. I mean, Texas could probably have its own damn chapter.
Yeah, or like two different chapters.
Yeah.
Up north they could do it with Oklahoma and Arkansas and
New Mexico, Colorado, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Kansas, and as well as the country of Mexico is in Region 6. How the fuck is Mexico in our region? Well, that don't explain shit.
But once again,
that's a whole different country.
But I mean, yeah. Northern Mexico, I could see them being with a South Texas chapter,
Perhaps.
But yeah, I feel like they could have more.
They feel like
more
they
chapters. I feel like you should start an IAVM chapter.
But I have a feeling it probably has something to do with how many facilities are in those regions, because there's region 7 as well. I think 7 is the most, if I recall correctly.
Is it California and Vegas?
Probably. And if you think all about like East Coast, I'm sure even though they're smaller, there's probably, I don't know. I've never looked at the map, to be honest with you. I never knew what Region 6 involved until now. I just assumed it was us 4 states.
Yeah, but I was going to say
and Louisiana is not included in that, so I misspoke.
Yeah, they're probably their own chapter just because they have all of the venue facilities with the casinos.
Well, so does Oklahoma.
That's different.
The reservations.
That's different.
That's different. That's different money.
I feel like East Coast, that might all be one chapter because you can drive from way up north to way down south in the time it takes you to drive across Texas.
True that.
So
from the tip of Florida all the way to the top of Maine.
Exactly.
But not really.
Or Canada. Well, Canada. Okay, so training.
Mm-hmm.
What all did you get when you paid for your class?
Well,
study material.
Yeah. So the study materials, honestly, this is probably, I really wish I could record Jamie's face right now. This is the part that really fucking pissed me off. So I went to VMS and you could do you could buy the textbook, and Jamie found them for a very discounted price. And when we got them, I told Jamie, I was like, we already have this fucking book. So why are they pushing this one as study material? Well, apparently they were trying to get rid of their inventory because they're about to roll out a new one and didn't tell anybody that. So Jamie negotiated. We still had to pay the difference, obviously. We had to ship them back and got new ones. Okay, well, the new one's been updated slightly. There's like 2 additional appendix sections that, yeah, it's somewhat helpful, but it's not really that much different. And they do have random tidbits in it about COVID, but not a lot. I mean, it's, I think, like a sentence here and there. But the digital study guide is the same fucking materials from VMS. And I emailed the chick back and I was like, I'm not going to pay for this because this is all the same crap when I went to VMS. And she's like, no, they've been updated. This is from basically the year Jamie went. And I compared Jamie's notes because I still have all my shit. They're 2 massive, like 4-inch binders from each year. It's the same fucking shit. It's the same information. And she's like, well, I promise it'll be different. It's not the same. And I was like, clearly you've never been through this. You're just trying to sell stuff. And it cost $50. And I was highly annoyed because all of that was included in my VMS registration, which was, like I said, a lot of money. So I was really pissed because getting that study information and getting the textbook, it is all the shit they teach at VMS. So I was highly annoyed because I was like, I've already been through this. I went through this years ago. And yeah, some stuff has changed and adapted, and there's probably new levels of contracts and certain ADA changes and stuff like that. But it can't be that much if you're still using the same materials from VMS. And I think Jamie went like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Fuck, I don't
That's
remember.
Huh.
Yeah, that girl didn't really like me very much in my email.
So did you still pay for the study material? Did you use Jamie's?
I think I still pay for it because it's in Aspire. Well, I had already paid for it. So I paid for it before I even got it.
Oh.
And by that point, I already
got your money back.
Well, I couldn't because she already gave me the code to log on and get it digitally. So basically I would have, yeah, but it wasn't worth it. I was highly annoyed. But yeah, so those are really the only study guide materials. And I've done a piss poor job of reading through it because I'm still bitter about it, obviously. But I've started reading through it. A lot of it is still very, very much the same. It's not a whole lot different. Basically, the way I look at it, minus, when we talk about your CMP and knowing catering equations and stuff like that, if you don't have common sense, you probably shouldn't be in this industry.
That's fair.
Because 90% of it is common sense. What do you do in an emergency situation? You sit on the
panic.
Floor and cry. Yeah.
You panic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
you run to the closest exit and screw everybody else.
Would you like me to tell you my first ever emergency situation scenario with Jamie? Because it kind of falls in line with this. It was very funny.
Story time.
Okay. All right, story time.
Use the appropriate words though. Don't give away too much. Okay,
well, I don't remember what event we were all working together. This was before we got the pleasure of working with you. So there's a lady walking through a lobby of a building, and she happens to slip and fall. And I'm like maybe 10 feet away. And Jameson's like 3. Jameson literally stood there over the lady staring at her and did not react at all. The police officer who was hired for security for the event responded faster than she did. And immediately saw it, walked over, and I'm standing 10 feet away looking at Jamie going, "Are you gonna do anything? You're just gonna stand there?" So then I get on the radio and I'm calling
get paperwork.
Yeah. And I get on the radio and I call one of our other employees and like, "Can you please get the paperwork for us to fill out the accident report stuff? Because we have to report this." And she's still literally standing there like a deer in headlights. And I couldn't. I tell people all the time, that was my first experience. That was probably like a month of me working with her. And that's why I feel like I'm validated when I ask her, like, how the fuck do you get through a day? How do you get through life?
Aww.
I witnessed you not handle that situation with any level of common sense. But yet you can respond in an emergency situation when some people are involved or not. I don't even know. But it's funny when you talk to her about things that, like, she tells you a story about something and she's like, "Well, I told them they should do this." And I was like, you wouldn't even do that if you were in the situation. It's easier to say it from the outside.
Yeah.
Because you don't react. And I witnessed you not reacting.
I remember my first emergency situation.
Did you have to give CPR?
No, but I had to give field stitches in a bar because somebody sliced their foot open on glass.
Ew.
Yeah. That was
that's when you just
there was no accident report. There was no police officer.
Yeah, I mean, the ambulance, the EMS showed up like 10 minutes later. We were halfway through our paperwork and then they just took her away. And since they filed their own report, we didn't have to continue with ours. But yeah, I was like, basically this lady, she's a little on the heavier side. And instead of wearing tennis shoes, she wore flip-flops, lost her balance, and then tripped on the top of her flip-flop and just tumbled over.
And weight has nothing to do with it. That happens to me all the time.
No, I know. But she also had a cane. And so I was sitting here thinking, like, why wouldn't she wear tennis shoes to begin with? So, see what I mean? If you don't have common sense,
they're not as pretty.
Yeah. True. But they can be. I mean, Jamie has foot problems and I've seen her wear these really awesome, all black, like retro style, like 4-inch heeled tennis shoes. That's a bit exaggerated.
4-inch heel?
It's like an
that's
inch
a
and a
little bit
half.
of it. Yeah, I was like, that's a little
Like
bit
an
of
inch
an
and a half.
exaggeration.
It might be actually 2 inches of thickness.
I
on
have
the
never
bottom of the
seen her in
sole.
stripper heels.
These are tennis shoes, not heels.
Okay, well, use a 4-inch wedge could still be a stripper heel.
Oh, fun. So
Anyways,
yeah, anyway, so back to the whole, study materials, because we always sidebar. I'm highly disappointed. I'm fairly irritated, and I just want to get this shit over with.
oh, so you haven't even taken the exam yet?
Hey, don't be freaking rude. I just applied. Yeah, so that was
Oh,
the-
miss, 2 years is too long to take the exam. Well, hurry up and get it done.
I'm only 6 months into this. Yes, and I am actually about to schedule it because I want to take it in June and be done with it.
Yeah, I don't even know why you looked over any of the study material if it's all the same from the class that you took before. You should just be like,
Fuck
take
it.
the exam,
Well, I
test
can't
out,
remember.
like high
Heck.
school.
Yeah. I can't even test out of the required continuing education's the annual stuff that we're supposed to be doing because I just don't pay attention to it. So I don't remember how much taken. Oh, wait, where's that? Hold on. I have it somewhere. Did I not?
Do you have the receipt?
No. Oh, I opened it.
Hurry, pull the green sheet.
Oh, here it is. Just kidding. All right. So they did change their processes. So now you can actually take this exam at a testing center. You don't actually have to go to the conference. It is on a computer. So they apparently have upgraded from paper to computers. And you can still use someone who has their CVE, or you can use a HR person who works in your area of your company, but they can't be a direct report of yours to proctor the exam.
So like I could not proctor your exam.
No, I wouldn't want you to, because I wouldn't be able to focus. You'd be staring at it like the incident that happened with my child today. I'll have to tell you how that happened later, because you'd be doing the same thing. Whereas I'd be answering questions, you'd be like, afterwards, you got 4 wrong. I noticed I got 4 wrong because I saw what you answered and you're stupid.
Yeah, that was funny. You did tell me about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was more. There was more that happened.
Oh,
But yes. And I could have swore I printed this. I was going to tell you how much it costs, but I don't remember what the cost was to actually take the exam. I know it's not cheap though.
a lot of money.
I think it's like $400, maybe something like that.
Not
It's
bad.
cheap, and you can actually do. This is another thing. You can actually get your CVP or CVE and not be a member of IAVM. It just costs you a little bit more. I did find that out. So anyone who works for a facility that doesn't want to be part of the organization, which until they
You know,
change,
it
the
sounds like
testing-
they have some pretty cool conferences though.
They do. I have only seen Venue Connects from afar. But we sent Jamie one year. I know she thoroughly enjoyed it. She also got to run into a bunch of people that actually go in our community. There are several people on this campus who have gone to venue management school, but no one talks about it. It's like the under the radar type thing. Like no one just shh. It's a silent club.
It's like Fight Club.
Fight club.
$395.
Yeah, so it's 400. I think it's $495 for non-members. So that's where I got that number from. I was close. I was roughly around. It's guesstimating.
Really.
I
Yeah,
said 400. It's
Not
pretty
really.
close. Fine, rude.
$50 at the testing center.
Yes, $50 to take it at the testing center. The textbook was $120. And then, of course, like I said, the digital resources were $50. So you're paying for a
So
lot.
they're nickel and diming you is what's going on. Instead of like an all-encompassing, like this is
Like
how much
VMS
the class
was?
costs. The class also includes, or the exam, your application also includes your study material.
It should have, because like when you register for a conference, normally everything comes with it. So why would you not get everything you need in one fee? I guess people take the exam without getting the book. They can't do a reduced one. I don't know. Or offer 2 prices. Here's one without the study materials and here's one with the study materials. Fuck,
I don't know.
Yeah. So what else do you want to know?
So what was the CVE again?
The certified venue executive.
executive.
So VMS has what they call the Graduate Institute, which is basically the same level. So if you go through, I didn't go through the Graduate Institute because I thought it was stupid. And also when one of my former bosses went through it, I practically did all of his fucking homework and work for him. So I should have gotten the certificate.
That's fair. That's fair.
I
Living
didn't know
in the
what I was
past,
helping
Sarah,
with.
it's not going to do you any good.
Well, I didn't know what I was helping with. I thought it was something that was internal being used, and later to find out it was for him to turn in.
But then you were educated on everything that has led you to where you're at today.
Maybe.
Send them a thank you card.
Gotcha.
So how many more hours would you need to do a CVE? Like, what's the requirements on that? Do you need to have a master's? Do you
No, so like once I get my CVP, then my
Mm.
CVP counts for points as well. So I can apply my CVP to my CVE. Let me see if I can.
is that
find it.
100 points as well?
No, I'm pretty sure it's 150.
Is it?
Might be 200. Because right now, going into this, when I applied, I had 199 points, which I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I had enough to try for the CVE, but I didn't want to.
You
Jump.
didn't want to.
Yeah, I didn't want to jump in case it was like having to study for if it was going to be the CVP plus like all this additional stuff for the executive level. But I almost think that
300.
was it 300?
300 points.
Oh, there you go. I was half there.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say 150 sounds pretty low for anything.
Well, I think I could have gotten there too. I think I was only shy like 50 points when I was doing all the other stuff. Because by the time I would have finished all my education stuff for this year, I would have had enough. And I just decided not to. So yes.
So are you going to pursue it further?
Probably.
Hmm.
Yeah, eventually.
One day.
I think I meant, yeah. So it's 7 years of top level management experience. I think that's where I could have gone both because I have enough for that. But yeah, like I said, I felt like going CVP first and then trying for CVE would have made more sense.
Yeah.
From an educational standpoint, if I wanted anything to soak in and learn anything.
Yeah, what's your retention on that?
Dude. I don't know. That's one thing I was trying to find, and I don't know that you have to re-up it and take a test over time. I'm sure our peanut gallery will find information that she can copy and paste into our chat box. But I honestly couldn't find anything. I don't know what the long-term retention of it is. I don't know if it's like a lifetime thing, because even with my other certification that I have, the VEIP, I don't have to do any kind of retention for that one. I just like have it for life. So,
What's your own personal retention on the information?
I mean, I apply it every day.
Do you?
No, I really do. I will say that's one thing I do think that VMS is great for, whether you're new into the industry or just a, kind of a low level planner to an executive, like it's a lot of really good information, a lot of learning opportunities across states of what other people are doing that may not necessarily need to be done where you are. A lot of people deal with regulations. Many deal with unions that we don't deal with hardly ever at all. I feel sorry for those people. It's a good and a bad thing.
Job security.
It can be, yes. And that's also hard for some people who have to deal with that because then it's harder to get rid of people or change things. And then you've got strikes and we saw a lot more of that up in like the industrial, Pennsylvania area, which is part of the reason. So every 3 years, there we go, to maintain certification. Yeah, I figured there was, I just couldn't remember. And I'm not sure I really looked that hard at it. So retention wise,
it has the same rollover as the CMP.
Honestly, looking at it, I really feel like they took CMP and just basically matched it, but made it all for venue. I really think it was almost identical when they started the process. So, but CMP is great because if you get a CMP, it's a certification that you have, whether you work in a venue or you're just doing front of house planning, whereas a CVP is strictly for venue side. And I mean, let's be honest, I have zero plans to get on the front end of planning. So a CVP made more sense for me.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the shadows.
But I mean,
Cursing.
I feel like a lot of these certifications are good to have regardless,
Mhm.
right? Of which side of it you're on, because you can never go wrong with having too much information. Right?
You can when you
No.
like to throw it in people's face and be a know-it-all about it.
Well, that's different. That's personality.
You have a very
I
strong
just mean,
personality.
you know, like if you're an independent planner, having a CVP may be a good thing because then you know where the venue is coming from when they're telling you like, hey, you can't do this, or like these are our guidelines. You won't argue with them and be like, oh yeah, I'm not even going to ask because I already know that's not a standard. Like that's not how things are done, right?
I really feel like there should be some partnership between a CMP and a CVP because as you've just said, like it's vital to know all aspects of what you're doing. Yes, as you've mentioned before, you can outsource things, but outsourcing things is more so you don't have to do it in-house. It's not because you don't, well, for some people it is because they don't fucking know how, but it's better because then you have an understanding of every situation that you're walking into. You're a more well-rounded candidate for any job that you apply for. And I just feel like it would do our industry some good if the CMP and CVP had some sort of overlapping or joint certification.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or even like a mini certificate.
Yeah, but I like being able to put something in my email.
I mean, I could put all of my mini certificates in an email. It would just be a really long signature.
Yeah, you like go overboard on webinars and stuff. But that's another thing. Like, so you walk away from VMS and you spend all this money on it and you have nothing to show for it, except a certificate that hangs in your office, perhaps, or at home in your work office.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even get like a signature, an email signature icon.
No, you cannot. Not by going VMS. You should.
Yeah.
VMS graduate, like VMSG. You know, and then they can have VMSGI for the Graduate Institute. Fuck, I don't know.
Sounds like an STD.
It's too close to the global meetings
VMSI,
industry day.
really? Like,
Could be.
okay, so tell me what VEIP is again.
All right,
Venue events,
way off. No.
integrated places.
So you're fun. It's Virtual Events Institute Professional.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I've talked about VEI before.
Yes.
But so VEI is a Virtual Events Institute based out of England or the UK, wherever. Don't know exact city. But they really vamped up all of this when we all had to work from home and COVID became a thing. But as far as VEIP in comparison to your CVP, I will even throw your CMP in there. I think the VEIP is more worth the money that you're paying for it. All the things are great. There's a lot of things about front of the house, your ROIs, the marketing. They talk about venues. They talk about venues in the sense of virtual platforms, how to negotiate pricing, how to, level of engagement. So it's a lot of things that you pull from your planning from a CMP that you put in person and just onto a virtual platform. But the one thing that I truly, truly liked the most about it was it's self-paced. And once you paid for it, I think I had like 6 months to a year to complete it. But I did it like every week it came out, like I knocked it out. Because if I put things off, like now, I don't make a deadline for this CVP test, I'm going to put it off to the last possible chance. So I'd rather have something more self-paced.
Yeah.
And the other thing I liked about it too is they gave you a lot of resources with templates. So if you're focusing on certain goals, SMART goals, obviously, and you're looking at specific things for your ROI and marketing things, like they gave you those templates, those resource templates. You can have like the digital templates, or you could obviously print them out. But it was really great because then they gave you an example, a case study to go with each one of them and how you would kind of navigate that. So I just felt like the VEIP was, for the time, obviously was more worth it for me. And now that we're getting back into actually doing in-person events, I feel like the CVP is going to be great. But at the same time, for me, I feel like I've gone backwards. But I do think that anyone who has their CMP should definitely go get the VEIP, because there's so many people that don't know enough about virtual events. And it's not a new thing. Virtual events have been around a very long time. You and I have talked about that. They also have an entire section dedicated to hybrid and how you can have the same engagement and effect for people, not only in the virtual, like in the face-to-face, but to actually, because we've had our poor experiences of the virtual world of attending conferences and events. So, and they also discuss virtual fatigue and all those kinds of things. So I thought it was great. And everyone that they have talking, everyone comes from a different portion of the industry. A couple of them talking are they work for companies that actually have virtual platforms, but they're not selling their platform. They're just educating you.
Nice.
Yeah. So no one does. I mean, they have, of course, sponsored by, but none of them get on there and give you a quick demo or a pitch of like, oh, this is why our stuff's the best. No, they like literally talk to you about, what to look for, what works for you, how to customize what you need. And there's not like an all-in-one type thing.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we know that,
Mhm.
and we've talked about that, and we've been through, there's not all one. So how can you be an expert in virtual events if everything is different? Each client has a different need. How do you be an expert?
Well, and that's why I think it would be great if some of these kind of came together, because then you would have someone who's very versatile and can do all this stuff because they have been educated in all these areas. Now, of course, work experience says a lot. People who've been in the industry a long time know what works and what doesn't. But I think just for me, it was really nice to know that they created this certification. It's something that's completely applicable. And it also makes people more aware of the fact that virtual is not new.
Yeah.
And it focused a lot on, like, every conference and meeting I feel like we've gone to, it's like, this is what's happening now. This is what COVID is doing. And da-da-da. Theirs was very much like, okay, yes, we know this is what's happening, but here's what you need to do in the future. This is how you start moving forward.
Yeah. This is what we've been doing for a while now. And it's just come to the forefront of the events industry because it had to.
Right. You were forced to. Absolutely. And they did talk about like the financial aspect, people's hesitation because technology always costs so much money, which hopefully we'll talk about on our next episode. What technology looks like and how people can get more for their money. Perhaps we can bring on a special guest to talk about audio visual. I don't know, depending on how grumpy he is that day. But yeah, I'm not asking. I'm just going to do a drive-by. Take the camera. Hey, okay, bye.
Good. Good. So what I've taken away from our conversation is that I'm going to be doing the VEIP soon.
Yeah. And I believe, if I remember correctly,
the next few years.
If I recall correctly, it was under $1,000 to do it. I think it was like 800, 700 or 800.
That's a little steep.
It's really not.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's really not.
Pass. Never mind. And pass. You need to schedule your exam.
Yes, I know.
Right now.
No, it's on my agenda for Monday. Right now. I work off list
for
now.
Monday.
Yes, I'm supposed to.
Which Monday? Did you date it?
Yes, next Monday, and I'm also supposed to get my maintenance key at the same time. I've been putting that off for months.
Like almost a year. It's been almost a year.
It's been since January, so only like 4 months, something. Yeah, I keep putting.
Well, very, very cool. Hopefully everybody has found this pretty informative. I mean, it's when researching certifications to have out there, there's so many. So, I mean, and there's really, you know, I mean, we can say like, oh, the CMP encompasses like a lot of things, but it's not everything. And the CVP covers what I assume everything back of house for a venue, but not front of house. So, yeah, I'm all here. I'm here all for.
I'm all for.
I'm all for too. I'm all for these.
I'm half here, half thought, half words.
I'm all here for the groups coming together and offering, you know, like, hey, get both of these certifications and, you know, I don't know, get a discount or something.
Oh, one thing I forgot to point out. When you go either to VMS or you do your CVP, the one thing that stood out to me the most, and we've talked about this before, I should have had you make a Venn diagram. They actually address the difference in facilities. Why there's what makes it a conference center, what makes it a multi-purpose center, what makes it an arena, what makes it, you know, a sports facility or an expo, you know, whatever. And it talks about all that stuff too. So it really defines it. Whereas I feel like nobody else fucking defines what people are in the event industry.
The CMP does.
Which is good, but again, it's not consistent. Whereas a facility, you either meet this criteria and you are this, or you don't and you are not.
Yeah.
Like there's no gray area in there.
That's fair. Yeah, the CMP, I think there was maybe a half a chapter on venues, but it also included non-traditional, you know, like you can book dorms at a university during the summer when they're empty, which might give your attendees a cheaper option. And then if you're utilizing a venue either close or on the same campus, now you've got like, you're working a deal, because I guess some universities do that. You know, so they definitely had non-traditional options such as that, which I found interesting. Because I was like, who wants to rent a dorm?
Okay, so here's what I think.
You can.
I think people in the event industry finally wisened up when they saw all these universities hosting all these sports camps and realized, wow, maybe I could do that, hold more people in certain spaces. And the university looked at it as, oh, whoa, here's another moneymaker. So not only do athletics get money from the camps, but Res Life gets money from the dorms they stay in. And there's other people who can, you know, put a hand in the pot.
Yeah. But I mean, they had those options, and they talked about convention centers and hotels that have banquet spaces and standalones and just all kinds of different. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Where I was like, well, just about any place that you can throw money at and put a table on is a venue. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, outside under a specific tree, and that certain square footage is a venue because you put a tent on it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But all right. So you done quizzing me? Because I'm done answering. Clearly I need to take my test. We've already figured that out. I'll do that soon. I'll have it done by June. So when we get into season 3, I can tell you how it really went and how many times I had to retake it. Okay. So next time.
All of the times.
All of the times.
Wait, whoa. Do you have to pay to retake it?
I don't know. I'm hoping to pass it the first time. So I didn't look that up. I should pass the first time without that being a question. So
okay. Anyways,
yeah,
we'll follow up on that.
I will eventually study. Okay, so next time we're going to discuss AV, or audiovisual, for those that don't know, pros and cons of virtual events, hybrid and face-to-face, and what we can do technology-wise to support those. Woohoo!
Not it.
Not what? Fine.
It'd be a great one for a special guest.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like we can wing it because we've been doing some of this crap already prior to COVID. So.
Oh yeah, we got this.
Ooh, I know a special guest we could bring on. I will reach out. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and until the next have a good time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on Events Real Talk. Make sure to visit us at Events Real Talk on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where you can subscribe to us via YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. So you'll never miss an episode.
While you're at it, if you enjoy the show, leave a review or comment, or if you'd simply tell a friend, that would help us too.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.